Hello, hello. This is Pigus Porcus on Discord. Others might know me as, obviously Pigus Porcus, Ozymandias, or the King of Seven Boats. This is my official testimony. I'm doing it in video form because there's a lot to go through, and I did not want to post 150 screenshots and 2.5 minutes of footage, because that would take absolute hours to pilfer through. So we're going to try to do a more rapid-fire version. So I'll be going through clips, so then they are recorded for posterity and for this, for the sake of the testimony. And I will also be giving personal anecdotes, and I'm going to try, not saying I'm going to do a very good job, I'm going to try to keep it short and concise to save everybody's time, because otherwise we'll be here all day and nobody wants to watch me rambling for an hour. But let's go ahead and get started. This first video is technically out of order. This is from later on in the event. This is from an expedition that was led by me, player 800 over there, the leader Sylvia, and I believe that is Jack Black, who is the king of Mountain Keep. There's also 516, who is the chief medic, and then there is one other person. I'm blanking on his name right now, but this was us trying to find a seaman hideout, and before the server closed down, we accidentally happened upon our villages of 7 boats in Egypt, and one of our sailors almost gives away our top secret mission, so Commandant rather sternly tells him to shut up. It is quite funny, and I know he meant well, but if he had given away his mission, it would have been very dangerous, so I understand why he was so stern to him.
Oh, green! Green!
Hello. There we go.
Hey, you have a boat? Get in. We're going. Are you from Second Egypt now?
Shush! Shut up!
Yeah,
Don't.
I'm to Egypt now.
And there we go. This is the actual first clip. This is from the second session, I believe, of the first official day of the event. Me and the people of 7 boats, we're actually, a few minutes after this clip is done, we give ourselves the name of 7 boats. But this is a clip of us being day 1 in our new home since we had migrated from our original skybase. And at this time, we were very new. Didn't really know what was going on. Very scared, very hungry. And just across the river was Egypt, and we didn't know anything about them at the time. We didn't know they were friendly, so I was worried that they were a Zerg, like a big old group that was going to terrorize us. So I started plotting and planning to kill them all, which in hindsight is hilarious. But at the time, we didn't know who they were, and there was like 30 of them, so...
Look! Hey! Is that him?
Someone get rid of the zombies at the door.
Sounds like him.
Oh, yeah, I need a...
This is the... I think the next session for the next day. Not much goes on here. You can see we have built a doctor's office where we're trying to get our medic to grind. This guy had his name written in the death note, God bless him. He was constantly dying to freak accidents and murder attempts and honestly his own stupidity, but we love him. But this man was a damn sugarcane siphon. So we actually ended up never getting a librarian. Fun fact. But yeah, we made as many beds as possible because we feared someone dying and then getting lost in the wilderness because it was quite a walk. That ender pearl, I don't think I can zoom in. But that ender pearl over there, fun fact, was actually killed by one of our citizens in a single fight. And And so we framed the Ender Pearl because that was very impressive, and someone stole it, and it made me very sad. But it was hung up on that wall for about 5-ish sessions, maybe less. I think at the very end, you'll see later, this sky base ends up becoming like 3 stories.
Men traveled off to.
This guy was asking for me because he is a foreign trader. I called him Dora. He would go on to help me try and build the AON headquarters, which would have been a sort of UN, AON as an Association of Nations. But this was our first time meeting him. So at this time, he's just a merchant, and he was asking for me, and well, I'll just let the clip finish up.
I would like to make. Okay, there you go.
Blacksmith.
I slip and fell. How silly of me.
We're
yeah,
fucked.
dude.
I'm going. I'm
Oh
leaving.
my God.
Bye.
Yo.
See you later. Yeah, I know.
By the way, first session is ending in a few minutes.
So that was just a random clip. We started building up the wall pretty early on, and we had to make sure to make it out of reinforced materials because, you know, zombies. But they also loved coming out of the ground. As you can see, the quarry right here, they just keep digging up. And I got so bad, I got tired of it, and I said, you know what? Just pave the entire thing. So the entire floor becomes stone bricks soon enough.
Never mind.
This is the city later on, by the way. There's an apartment, a blacksmithing, and we're working on expanding the city in this clip.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well. Okay, it just logs off here. Yeah.
Wait, who locked off?
Oh, since we can see it here, that's the hospital that we built. This was the Farmers Guild where we stored all our food. Right over there, you can barely see it, but there's a pen for our camels and horses. And then there's a chest monster that we never really got rid of. And right here's the morgue. The morgue was actually a really cool idea. Basically what it was is people loved dying constantly, especially to phantoms. And it was always really stressful and confusing trying to like round up people to be like, hey, did you accidentally pick up so-and-so's items? He said someone picked up his treasured heirloom of, you know, coarse dirt, and now he's devastated until I find it. And it was very, very stressful and very tiring. So I built the morgue, and the basic rule was if you see a dead guy, like his stuff on the ground, you throw it in there. And then it was assumed that when you respawn, you walk over there to the morgue, and hopefully your stuff's in there. It was a bit hit or miss, but to me it was a good system.
Oh, okay, that's
So I think we can build a wall just like out here to this river over there. So
We in fact never did that.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, here's a good view of the city. Right there's the blacksmith. This city actually got really crammed. Like right here's the blacksmith, and this staircase that leads to the Knights Academy is also the rooftop triangle. You know, like this is. It was the rooftop triangle to another building. I think it was a basement of sorts, and there was a walkway. In between, you can barely see that there's some room over here for a street. There's a street that cuts in between these two buildings, which acted as the roof to another building. It was like, it's like that one district in China that's like the densest urban population on Earth. It was basically that. Right there, we'll cover some of this in greater detail later, but that is our healer's watchtower. I don't know why. As often as he died, he thought it was okay to build a watchtower by himself, but he just did it without anyone giving him permission, and I just didn't have the heart to tell him no. I'm standing in the second floor of the apartments. Early on, I wanted to build apartments. Yeah, we'll go into greater detail on more of this later, but I built some apartments so then people had a place to store their stuff.
oh my god.
You even been on?
He has been on, yeah.
Okay, where?
Why?
It's
Why?
Oh, and I don't have a screenshot of this. You notice for a split second I'm in this bunker. If we go back to
Okay.
this clip,
Yeah, man.
that watchtower, if you can see my cursor, had a bunker underneath it. It's very primitive. It was just a hole in the ground with some wooden pickaxes so we could tunnel out.
Yeah.
But this was done because prior to the walls and the street being completed, we got raided by the seaman pirates, and they killed every last one of us and broke all of our beds. And it was not great. We had to like round up everybody. Thankfully, we got everybody, which it warmed my heart that my people cared enough about the nation they were building to come back, in spite of what was obviously such a devastating time. Brain. But to prevent that from happening again, we started moving people's beds underground. So when I die here, and I briefly shows the bunker, it was me and another player that I'll talk about later named Dog lived down here as well. He's my husband, but more on that later. I think this is the best shot we'll ever get, so I'll go talk about it. This was the new city district. We were talking about it earlier in that other district, or in that other clip. But we decided to build it over here because we didn't want to trample the farmer's crops and tell him to move his field like further away. So we're like, we'll just build inland. I'm not a personal fan of the cherry wood, but I think the deep slate was a nice touch. Fun fact, we actually dug under the grass here and placed reinforced bricks, like this deep slate, so that way mobs can't dig up to the surface, but it still looks nice. So that was very handy. And then you can see here on the right, there's the wheat fields here, a bridge. I don't know who built that. I think it was one of my guys. I did a very good job. And the other side is Egypt, or Egypt rather.
And this building is sick. Sorry.
Yeah, this one's amazing.
This building is sick.
Yeah, definitely.
And they.
No, they
Oh,
were.
I
I
love
honestly,
this.
they're
I
probably.
love this. I love.
My book. I am 5.
So I won't go through this entire event because it does take quite a while. But basically, I mean, even the short version is a little long, but we'll try it anyways. Basically, what happened is me, Steve, the leader of Mountain Keep, Commandant, as I call him, from Sylvia, the chief healer from Mountain Keep, and one other guy who ended up, I think, stopping about halfway through the trip, came together because we heard a rumor that somebody from Friendship Island knew where a seaman stronghold was at. So we decided to travel north about, it was at least 1,000 blocks, but it felt like 2,500 blocks, to find the new base of Friendship Island because their old base had been raided by pirates, and so they had to move out. It was honestly heartbreaking, but more on that later. But when we got there, they were like, "Oh, one of our guys is in the Nether, the other one is out afield. They're the only two that know where this seaman stronghold is. You have to wait till they get back." Turns out the guy who was out afield was leading another expedition of 7 boats, people, and 2 Egyptians trying to find the stronghold. And since the Friendship Islander knew where it was, they obviously got there first. They looted the whole place, did what they needed, and then started heading home. So it was unfortunately a big waste of time on the expedition side for me and my party, but it was honestly the most fun I've ever had. Or probably some of the most fun I've ever had ever on a server, but it was definitely one of my top 3 things I ever did on Trial 2. Because it was just something about it was just weirdly relaxing, being able to just talk with these people. Everybody's taking it fully seriously without, being too uptight, but we joked, we talked, we had a lot of fun, and it was nice bonding with these people. And that's something I love dearly about this event. But anyways, the these guys here were not part of the expedition, or our original expedition. This guy's actually from Seven Boats. Yeah, I recognize him for sure. But they decided to pick us up on the way back after they had successfully raided the stronghold. And player 516, he was one of the guys with us, gave them, or specifically gave player 212, his autobiography. The poor 516 had been working on his autobiography and being a good, dutiful medic in Mountain Keep. And Steve, or Jack Black, the leader of Mountain Keep, walked up to him and was like, "Hey, I'm going on an expedition and my second in command isn't available. Will you join me?" And he was like, "Sure, might as well." He could not have even begun to know what sort of trip he was on. I mean, he literally went from like the bottom of the known world to the absolute upper limits of the known world. And he didn't want to. He didn't want to do that much exploring. I mean, at best, he probably wanted to stretch his legs. But I decided I would be nice to him and I would row the boat, and so he could work on his autobiography. He really felt like Marco Polo. He just like totally out of his depth, didn't want to be there. But while you're at it, you might as well make a good book. And so on the way home, player 212 was asked to read the autobiography, and we joked that it was basically listening to a podcast on the drive home from a long weekend or a long trip, and it was just some of the most surreal but special moments I've ever had in Minecraft. We're just rowing and listening to this man's autobiography and joking around. I'll show some of the clips, but it goes on. It's a decently big book.
16. Some call me lazy, some call me the healer council member of Mountain Keep. I thought that I could pass my knowledge down via this book.
Oh, and by the way, just for edification, you cannot hear my mic in these clips. I had my mic muted in the record feature, so they can hear me, but my computer couldn't. So yeah.
If you're reading this, I hope you find some usefulness via this book. Chapter 1. Beginnings. When I was first starting out, I was dying. A lot. I kept spawning in the desert, meeting a few people, then dying. It took a while of that until I finally spawned somewhere.
So we're gonna speed.
Dying.
We're gonna speed through these because it just keeps going. It was quite fun though.
Who had sugarcane. I managed to.
It was also, I will say, it was also quite funny because the guy kept ending all of his chapters on like really shitty cliffhangers. Like I think one of them was literally like, "Oh, so and so asked me where I was from, and I told him." And then the chapter ended, and then they would go to the next chapter, and then it would reveal the name of where he was from. But because the guy, player 212, didn't know this, he would have to fully stop his narration, flip the page, and then he would say the chapter number, and then he would continue the sentence. It always broke the pacing, but in like the funniest way possible. I think these clips are just me being stuck in the void. Session 14, I spent the entire session doing this, pretty much. Oh yeah, I did get a brief moment. I do mean brief moment on the server, and I got
for each other, not like one bit.
I got so angry, I threw my computer mouse at my screen, and I cracked it. And so I was unable to play for the rest of the day, and I had to borrow my sister's computer screen, which is embarrassing and just, childish that I did that, but, it's funny in hindsight at least. So I will say though, this clip is actually pretty important in a way, because this is the alliance that officially existed between Mountain Keep, Sylvia, Seven Boats, and Tujip. Oh, alliance is a strong word. It's more of a dedication. Yeah, dedication is a better word. And this dedication was committed. Good Lord, English. But this dedication had dedicated itself, as it were, to hunting down piracy and all other kinds of vagabonds and criminals, and making the server unplayable for them. That was the stated goal, making it unplayable for them. We even tossed around, or at least I did, tossed around the idea of spawn camping and bed trapping any pirates we got our hands on. But the others questioned if that was allowed under the server rules, so we ended up shelving that for we'll think about it later. And we just never got around to it, but maybe that's for the best. Anyways, right here is Commandant, leader of Sylvia, Jack Black, leader of Mountain Keep, and then maybe the camera will turn. Yeah, you can barely see him. Participant 17, the King of Egypt, and then there's me, King of 7 Boats. This is us talking about how to handle them. This is just an anecdote of the meeting. We talked for like 15-20 minutes, but I only saved this one bit. And we were talking about a system where basically we would get all of our military personnel, and then they would spread out like, I think it was east, west, and south, because the north was just a big old ocean. They would build fortifications, and then from those fortifications they would fan out and look for any signs of pirate activity, specifically pirate strongholds. And the hope would be to just cover as much ground as possible from these forts, and then if they find anything, they can report it or attack or do whatever. But we were dead serious about this too. We were considering logistics and feasibility, because we were done with pirates. But unfortunately, the server did cut this meeting short.
For each other, not like one big mega group, because that's not going to cover any ground. I say pairs, we could have, there's what, 20, 24 in total, that could be 12 pairs of people. We could cover absolutely loads of ground, and for like an hour and a half of scouting, we'd find something in that time.
Yeah, funny story actually, but the only reason why I have these clips is because I always thought it was so funny when the server would cut people off mid-sentence. And so these I really need to take photos and video recordings more often. I feel like my dad, he has like 10 photos from like his years doing all the cool shit he did. I won't get into specifics, but he's a cool dude and he did cool stuff. And he's definitely totally cooler than your dad. Anyways, but yeah, he just doesn't, he only has like 10 photos to show for it. And I'm kind of like that. The only reason I have these clips is because I thought this was funny, and I loved sharing these with my friends that didn't play the event. And I was like, isn't this so funny? And they're just kind of like, eh. So, oops, that is a Team Fortress clip.